A major midsummer heat wave and significant severe weather will be the two main storylines over the next 1 to 2 weeks across the United States, southern Canada, and we talk about the tropical weather update as we cover the tropics on this channel as well. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful end of their week out there on Friday. If you are here, and we do straightforward, reliable, accurate weather forecasts on this channel daily. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like the video, give it a thumbs up throughout, and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. Definitely appreciate that as well. Let's look at our temperatures because it's still pretty cool up here for mid-July standards into the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and the Northeast. Much cooler today versus yesterday, where we're in the 80s and 90s. We're back into the middle 70s with lower humidity this afternoon here to end the week. So definitely not too shabby up here. A little bit hotter down here to the south. That's where the ridge of high pressure is centered across portions of the south central U.S. So along the Red River Valley, we're into the triple digits, and some upper 90s over here into the southeast coast, including Georgia, the Carolinas, and Florida. And then obviously over here in the desert areas of the desert southwest, we are very hot into the triple digits again today. Looking at the severe weather threat, it's on the fringes of that heat where we have the threat for scattered severe thunderstorms in the yellow across Nebraska, parts of eastern South Dakota, into southern Minnesota, into Iowa. And then back over here into Virginia and North Carolina as well. In the dark green, that's where isolated severe thunderstorms will remain possible across parts of the lower Ohio and into the Tennessee Valley, and then back into the high plains and the Rockies this afternoon and this evening. There is a tornado threat. It is formidable. And the brown, that's a 5% chance of tornadoes. Southeastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota, into northwestern Iowa, northeast Nebraska there. And then surrounding areas in the green, that is a 2% chance of tornadoes, and this is all in a 25-mile radius of any given point in or around this area, including major metropolitan hub of Des Moines, Omaha, and then up here just to the west of Rochester, Minnesota. So a lot of people are affected by this tornado potential today. Heading into tomorrow on Saturday, July 19th, a larger area of severe weather from the Midwest into the southern Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. In yellow, that's where scattered severe thunderstorms will be possible. Would not rule out an upgrade to an enhanced risk. That would be numerous severe thunderstorms could be likely if that did get added. Otherwise, we're going to see isolated coverage of storms into the dark green, back into the high plains again. And there is a tornado threat into the Detroit area, Toledo over here towards portions of, say, Cleveland, and into Fort Wayne, Grand Rapids, Lansing. These areas have to watch out for a 2% chance of tornadoes going into the day on Saturday. Let's diagnose it first in the eastern U.S. We'll go to the central U.S. and then the western U.S. You know the drill. So here we go at noon today. We got a couple showers across Ohio into West Virginia, and then as we go into the afternoon, we're just going to see those scattered popcorn type storms develop really anywhere on the radar. And as they develop, they could produce some locally heavy downpours, some cloud to ground lightning. So if you're out golfing, for example, in the southeast, make sure to have a radar app handy in case you have a thunderstorm pop up this afternoon or early this evening. And they could pose a risk for some stronger wind gusts and some hail across the lower Ohio River Valley into the Tennessee Valley this afternoon. A lot of those storms will be severe more into Virginia and over here into northeastern North Carolina. They'll wane in intensity and coverage overnight, and then we'll see more storms popping up, especially into the Ohio Valley going through the Saturday afternoon and evening time frame. And again, these storms could produce damaging winds, some hail, and a very small tornado risk, again, up toward Detroit, into the Fort Wayne area, into Toledo and Cleveland going into Saturday afternoon and evening. Very heavy rainfall is promised with these storms. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere, so it could ring out a couple of inches of rain for portions of the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic. Localized flash flooding will be possible, so again, just make sure that you are aware that some of these storms, if they do produce heavy rainfall and the runoff of that rainfall creates flooding, that you're not driving on a flooded roadway. That's very important. You never want to do that. Now, in the central U.S., we're going to see an active pattern as well. Here at noon today, we are seeing a couple showers and storms up into Minnesota, into the eastern Dakotas, and near the Gulf Coast with the remnants of our tropical system that really didn't come to fruition. But we are definitely seeing some moisture out there, and that will lead to some thunderstorm activity really blossoming from eastern South Dakota and southern Minnesota this evening. These storms initially will be heavy rainfall and frequent lightning producers, but then as they drop southeast, as we go into Saturday morning, they could pose a risk here early tomorrow, including the Milwaukee area, into Chicago, into Rockford, Davenport, Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City, Waterloo, and Dubuque. Those areas could be seeing potentially 60, perhaps 70 mile per hour wind gusts. That's enough to bring down tree branches, uproot some small trees, and create some power outages early on your Saturday. In addition to that, some very heavy rainfall, and then additional storms could form with a new shortwave trough that moves across the northern plains into the Midwest Saturday evening. And if we have enough recovery behind the morning storms, we could have these producing some tornadoes as we go through Saturday evening across parts of Iowa. Now, looking here at the rainfall amounts, it could be plentiful from southern Minnesota into southern Wisconsin, much of the state of Iowa into north central Illinois, extending into Indiana. We could be seeing a widespread swath here of 1 to 3 inches of rain just going between today and going into especially through most of the day on Saturday. Now, looking here at the western U.S., we're going to be quiet here until we get the peak daytime heating as you know it, and the monsoonal flow really activates mid to late afternoon. We're going to see showers and storms starting to pop up across Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, down into especially New Mexico this afternoon and evening. Once the sun sets, those storms will quickly wane in intensity and their coverage, and it looks like more isolated coverage of storms as we go into Saturday across the Rockies and the Four Corners region, so not as intense as today. Rainfall amounts out here, you know how it is in the desert Southwest and the Rockies this time of year. It is hit and miss, but there could be areas of a half inch, an inch of rain if you get lucky. A lot of areas will miss out on the rain across these regions through Sunday morning. Going into Sunday, July 20th, isolated severe thunderstorms will be possible all the way up here to the Dakotas, Nebraska, northern Kansas, stretching through the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic, including the I-95 corridor, Boston, New York City, down there toward Baltimore. We could be seeing some severe weather as well on Sunday. Notice here Sunday morning, we got some storms ongoing potentially across the Northeast, another cluster here into Kentucky, and then another cluster up into Nebraska and Iowa, so 3 separate clusters of storms. These will roam across the landscape as we go through the day on Sunday, and they could pose risks for winds, hail, and an isolated tornado, and there's a lot of moisture in the environment. So obviously these storms will be efficient rainfall producers. We'll keep an eye on that. As we go into Sunday evening, might have to watch another cluster up here into North Dakota dropping southeast into portions of South Dakota and western Minnesota. That could raise the red flag, I guess, if you will, for stronger winds as we go into Monday morning. Now let's look at our temperature trends through the weekend. As we go into tomorrow on Saturday and the 19th and Sunday the 20th, the following day, we're going to be warming up across the southern plains as we go through the weekend. Still a little bit cooler up here toward the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, as you could expect with additional storm activity. Next work week, though, Monday the 21st through Friday the 25th, we're going to be warming up in a big way across the middle of the country. 15 to 20 degrees above normal will be our temperature regime next week. And this is all because of a big ridge of high pressure that's going to build across the southeast, the Gulf Coast as we go through early next week. It's going to flex its muscles a bit toward the Midwest and the Ohio Valley later next week by Wednesday and Thursday, bringing some of that high heat and humidity further to the north. And looking at those values, we're going to have daily highs in the central southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley into the 90s and even low 100s daily here all the way through next week. And even parts of the Midwest could get into the 90s at times. Now, even though it looks cooler in the Midwest, we're going to have a lot more moisture that will compensate for cooler temperatures, I guess, if you will. If you're in the 80s, it's still going to be as hot as it is in the southern plains because we have the evapotranspiration of the mature corn crop here and the soybeans into the Midwest and the western Ohio Valley. That will raise our dew point temperatures well into the 70s and the 80s, making it feel more tropical out there. It's air you can wear. The second you walk outside into these conditions next week, you're going to be sweating very quickly because it is so moist out there. And that is going to raise our heat index values very high into the 105, even at times the 115 range. Looks like Wednesday is the day in the Midwest where we could have the hottest temperatures into Iowa, southern Minnesota, southern Wisconsin, even in through much of the land of Lincoln and Illinois, southwestern lower Michigan. We could be taking a run at 110, 115 in some areas by the middle of next week. That heat and humidity will lead to a lot of storm energy, what you call CAPE, convective available potential energy, and this is the energy for the storms. Think of it as jet fuel. You need more jet fuel to fly a plane. You need storm energy to get storms to form, and that's what we have as we go into next week, and it's plentiful by the middle of next week. Our storm track is going to waver a bit across the Midwest, north-south, but it looks like in general the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, into Michigan, into Indiana and Ohio. That's the main corridor where we could see those organized thunderstorm clusters that produce damaging straight line winds. Even have to watch the potential of a derecho. A derecho is a fast-moving line of thunderstorms typically associated with widespread hurricane force winds, 75 miles per hour or greater. In extreme instances, derechos can produce wind gusts of over 100 miles per hour, embedded hail, embedded tornadoes, and torrential rain. Underneath that ridge of high pressure, though, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, and into the southeast, we are going to be bone dry for the most part going into next week, leading to that heat. Now, looking in the long-range forecast, our ridge that we talked about that's in the southeast this week will actually be retrograding further west as we go into the following week between July 28th and August 4th, and that ridge will set up across the desert southwest and anchor itself there as we reach the new month of August, which means our warmest temperatures will follow suit and move west as well, right under that ridge of high pressure. So the Pacific Northwest is going to be warming up in a big way. The desert Southwest that's already hot is going to get even hotter, and the plains will remain hot as well. A little bit cooler, though, leaning across the eastern United States into early August. And our active storm track will be on the northeastern periphery of that ridge of high pressure. More organized thunderstorm clusters from the upper Midwest into the central Great Lakes and the northern Ohio Valley are possible. Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Des Moines, Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit. You guys all have to watch for the potential of derechos as we go into early August. That is for sure. Turning over to the tropical weather update here of the video, the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is not expecting any tropical cyclone activity in the Atlantic Basin, including the Caribbean and the Gulf, over the next 7 days. Same deal as well in the East Pacific Basin here. And looking at the long-range tropical outlook through the rest of July and the first few days of August, it is very active with typhoons and stuff like that over there into the West Pacific for Taiwan and China, seeing a lot of activity over there in the West Pacific. The Eastern Pacific could start to heat up a little bit into early August, and the main development region will try to get going over there east of the Lesser Antilles there, between the Lesser Antilles and Africa, but the plume of Saharan dust may actually lead to a lower development chance over there into even the main development region in early August. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go through the long range. Thank you all for watching. If you want straightforward, reliable, accurate weather information daily on this channel, you know what to do. Subscribe to my channel, like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share it with a friend, family member, and on social media. And also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, jot that down in the comment section down below this video. I am happy to answer any and all questions that you may have 24/7, all day, all night here on this channel. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for your support, and have a wonderful rest of your Friday out there.